Hey guys, Keith Shillan here. If you don't know me, I'm a staff member for Sherdog.com. I do preview shows for Sherdog, specifically UFC preview shows. I also do the live UFC recap show. I do both those shows with the great Ben Duffy. I also do a couple interviews. I've done Contender Series previews. I've done Bellator previews. I've done one championship previews. So I was talking to a friend this week, and he's an MMA fan, but he's trying to become a bigger fan. I would call him mostly a casual fan, but he wants to become a hardcore fan. And he was saying, like, he watches UFC, he watches Bellator, but he doesn't really know too much internationally. And he said, who should he start watching international? I'm like, well, duh, one championship. And I started explaining to him what one championship is. He knew some of the fighters. He had an idea what one championship is. And he said, well, you should do a preview and do more previews of one championship events coming up, so fans like me who want to grow in their knowledge of MMA can know what's going on. And I said, you know what, that's actually a pretty good idea, considering one championship now has a TNT contract. They're really kind of branching off into the American market, adding more American, based fighters, guys like Eddie Alvarez, Demetrius Johnson, Sage Northcutt. They've added these guys over the years. So because of time constraints, I won't be able to do all one championships events. They have so many. It's like every weekend it seems like they have one. But I like the card that's coming up this weekend, the Battleground card, the one championship Battleground card, enough that I think it was worthy of doing a preview. So that card happens this Friday, July 30th from Singapore. The main card kicks off at 8:30 a.m. You can watch it in the USA on Bleacher Report, the Bleacher Report app, Bleacher Report YouTube channel. If you're in any other part of the world, go over to One Championship website, find out how you can do it. I'm not going to name, China do it this way, Singapore do it. I'm not going to name all that. Just go over there, right on their website. It'll say, Great Britain or England or whatever. You could see where you are. Look down there. That's you'll see it. But this is what I'm going to do on this card. I'm going to preview the main card, and I'm going to make predictions. That's going to be the end of the show. I'm also going to interview one of the biggest stars, or probably the biggest star on this card, Aung La N Sang, who is a multiple-time a two-weight champion, a former two-weight champion in the organization, one of the best fighters in the organization's history. However, before I do that, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should watch One Championship Battleground this weekend. So let's get right into it. Here are my 5 reasons why you should watch One Battleground. Number 1, the rules. There's a lot of rules that is different than, say, the American-based companies, American-based organization. I'm talking about UFC, Bellator, Invicta, these top ones. I'm not saying that I like One Championship rules more or less than the American-based ones. I just like them because I like fights. I like that they do things differently, just to kind of give me variety when I watch fights. But you might like the UFC rules better, or you might like One Championship. But let me give you 3 of the biggest differences and why I think they're exciting. So one is weight cutting. So in One Championship, they have strict weight cutting rules. Their fighters take hydration tests when they weigh in. They got to take hydration tests throughout the week. They have a certain amount of weight they can cut. And this just really limits the dangers of weight cutting, as we've know is such a major issue in MMA. And I think over the years, we have really seen that fighters that have moved up or better fighters that are fully hydrated or more hydrated than those who take, massive or participate in massive weight cutting, last minute weight cutting sessions. Those who are fully hydrated perform a lot better. So that's one of the good things about this. Fighters are hydrated. The other thing is the scoring system. Now, it is not like, say, the UFC where they have a 10-9 must system. That's not the case. They don't get scored round by round. In One Championship, they score the entirety of the fight. So a fighter is not necessarily trying to win rounds, but trying to win the entire fight. Plain and simple, a judge doesn't say at the end of the fight, so-and-so won more rounds, so they won. They just say, I think this guy did more damage, or I think this guy was more effective throughout the 15-minute or 25-minute affair. And now this past weekend we had some controversy in the UFC scores. And I think, hey, maybe those fights would have been scored differently if it was one championship. Maybe instead of saying, well, this guy won this round and this round, you just say, I think this guy did overall better, and that's the case. And the third biggest rule, and I left the best one for last, that they allow knees to the head of ground opponent. Now, this has been a rule that so many fans in America have been calling for forever. You go back to the old Pride Championship days when Pride was at its peak. Pride Championship allowed knees to the head. So does One Championship. So now in One Championship, a fighter can't kind of stay on the bottom and rest when they're in trouble. They could easily, if wrestlers, you do it a lot, you shoot underneath and you kind of have your opponent sprawl out and you just kind of rest there. That's not the case in One Championship. You do that, you're going to get blasted in the head with a knee. Perfect example, something we just had on TNT. Demetrius Johnson, in my opinion, one of the greatest fighters of all time. Easily top 5, maybe top 3, or I'm not gonna get it. That's not the point of the show, but extremely decorated, extremely high, all-time great. I'm kind of on that Mount Rushmore list. He recently lost a fight in his title challenge to Adrian Moraes when he got kneed in the head on a ground opponent. Something that's much different than he was used to in the UFC, and that's what makes it exciting. So that's the first reason is the rule set. Now the second reason why you should watch is One Championship is more than just MMA. If you want more than MMA and you love all combat sports, this One Championship card has you covered. The main event of this card is a flyweight title fight in Muay Thai. Now, I will admit, and anybody who's seen my recap shows or my preview shows, I like striking, but I can't say that I follow Muay Thai strong enough. But I'll admit that I've always kind of wanted to, and I want to become more familiar with the sport. And if you are like me, and you want to give Muay Thai a chance, you want to learn more, One Championship has some of the best strikers in the world. So if you like striking, tune into this because it's going to be right up your alley because the main event is 2 of the best strikers in the world. So right away, you want to learn about Muay Thai, boom, they get the 2 of the best 125-pound. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm not sure if it's 125. Yeah, I think it is. Either way, it's 125. The third reason, and this is the one that we're going to talk. The guy we talked to in a little bit. Aung La N Sang, that just doesn't roll off my tongue that good, is on his last run. Now, Na Sang is fighting in the co-main event, and he is always can't miss. He's one of the greatest fighters in One Championship history. He's been in some of the greatest battles ever. I mean, his fight against Brandon Vera was so exciting. His first fight against Ken Hasegawa is not just one of the greatest fights in One Championship history. It's just one of the best fights in MMA history. I mean, seriously, if you haven't seen this fight, as soon as this video ends and you stop watching, go over to One Championship, their YouTube page, and go check that fight out. It's absolutely bonkers. I'll put it up there with any fight of all time. It's that good. Back to my point, though, on Na Sang. This guy is a former 2-weight class world champion, and he held the belt simultaneously. That's the most important thing. He held the middleweight and light heavyweight titles in One Championship simultaneously. He trains out of Sanford MMA, which is one of the best gyms in the world. I talked about his striking. He's such an exciting striker in crazy wars. However, heading into this contest, it's been a long time since this guy was on a losing streak. He's actually on a losing streak. He's lost his last 2 fights, and they both happen to the same guy. That's Rene de Reda. He not only beat Na Sang for his middleweight title, then he went up and challenged him for his light heavyweight title and took both of his belts. So Na Sang is desperately in need to get a win here to stay on top of the division, but he ain't getting no softball. He's facing Leandro Atadis, who in his last fight, he actually fought Reda, and it was a really close fight. He actually was more competitive against De Reda than Na Sang was in both those fights. And this is a guy that, I mean, he's not going to be no stepping stone. He has some big power. He likes to brawl. This is going to be a really fun stand-up affair. That's the kind of fight that Na Sang wants. So if you want 2 guys throwing down to the pocket, this one's right up your alley. So that's the third reason. The fourth reason, you might say, hey, Keith, but this is MMA. I don't want just striking. Well, good. They got you covered because there's an incredible grappling matchup, which is our fourth reason, a clash between 2 125-pound grapplers. Ryo Tosado he's a karate black belt, However, he has over 200 high-level wrestling competitions in his career. He's one of the best wrestling penetration steps I've seen in MMA. He's definitely in one championship. He has tons of submissions on his belt, and he's facing Gustavo Bolart, who's a three-time Pan Am Game wrestling champion from Cuba, and he also wrestled in the Olympics. I mean, that's how good this guy is in the wrestling department. The Olympics is going on right now. Early next week, or actually in a couple days, the Olympic wrestling kicks off. I'm looking forward to that. This can kind of be your precursor, as you know, your kind of appetizer to the Olympic wrestling, as these guys are that good on the on grappling. Sawada's submission grappling versus Bellator's just regular Greco-Roman wrestling grappling. Should be a really, really fun matchup. And the fifth reason why you don't want to miss one championship Battleground, and this is something that no other MMA organization can say they have, and no other major MMA organization can say they have. I don't know if there may be another organization somewhere, but to my knowledge, nobody else has this. And that's a 17-year-old phenom, and that girl, the 17-year-old phenom, is named Victoria Lee, who returns for her second professional fight. She's now 17. When she debuted in one championship, she was only 16 years old. She won her debut fight by submission. You might recognize the name if you're familiar with one championship. The last name Lee is very synonymous with the organization because she's the younger sister of Christian Lee and Angela Lee, who are both current champions of the organization. She's looking to move to 2-0 when she takes on Le Ping Wang. So there you go. There's a 5 reasons. There's other fights on this card that's really exciting, but I had to limit down to just 5 and 5 reasons. I think they were good reasons. So make sure you check it out. But before I'm going to break down all the card. I'm going to break down all the fights, give my predictions. But before I do, let's talk to one of the biggest stars on the card, Aung La N Sang. All right, guys, I just gave you 5 reasons to watch this card. And one of the reasons was the man that I'm speaking to right now. This guy held 2 belts at the same time in one championship. He's one of the greatest fighters in the history of one championship. And I was just talking about like all the crazy matchups. His fight against Kenneth Hasegawa, the very first one, is one of my all-time favorite fights. So this is the guy I'm talking to right now. He returns to action this Friday. Aung La N Sang, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, you know. Training camp went well. We're in Singapore. We're in the bubble, but everything is good.
Let me try this. Nai Kangla? Ne Kangla?
Oh, Ne Kaunla.
Was I close?
Initially, it wasn't close at all, but the second time you said it was a little bit better.
All right. I'm
sorry.
I tried it like 10 times to see. I every time I interview. Good.
Burmese is very hard. It's not easy. But like the word, like, let's just say example, right? Like a dog, Kway. Kway is like dog, right? And then Kway is like also like a coil of like anything that's coiled up is also Kway. Like pronunciation very similar.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So the tone of the word that you pronounce makes a big difference. You know.
Oh, okay.
The way you toned it was a little Ne Gaunla.
Every time I interview a fighter, I try to say at least one thing in there in the native tongue.
Yeah, and Burmese is not easy. It's very elegant and it's very long. Like hi, when you say hi or hello in Burmese, it's Mingalaba.
Yeah?
And when you say thank you or thanks, it's Jesu Tenbade. It's like a lot longer than I know.
Yeah, that's
it's very elegant and it's a very long language. So
yeah,
it's a little more difficult than English.
Well, I'll give me credit for trying, but this one, some of them I do well. This one I failed miserably. So let's get to it. You're one of the most decorated fighters in one championship. I mean, you were one of the faces of the organization. I mean, you still are one of the faces of the organization. You had this huge winning streak, but it's been a long time since you've been on a losing streak. I know you recently said that it was simply just Rene Doreda who has defeated you in your last 2 fights. He actually took your belt in 2 different weight classes. I know that's like, tough topic to bring up right away. But
no, it's not. I don't really care. It's not a hard topic. stylistically, he's a bad matchup, for
Yeah.
me. And I have to improve and I have to get better. For me, it's where I came from. It's not a hard topic. I'm blessed to be able to do what I love, and I'm gonna keep growing and become a better version of myself. So it's not a hard topic.
So when you just said you want to keep growing, obviously you train in Sanford MMA, which anybody who's watching the show knows Sanford MMA. It might be the very best team, or it's at least one of the very best teams. So obviously you're working with some great coaches. You want to improve. When you look at those fights, what do you say that, all right, this is what I have to improve to be the best version of yourself moving forward?
Yeah, on the scrambles and like my positional wise, like my hand position, my hip position, they were a little bit off. And that cost me the fight. And also like just waiting for him, not being as offensive, being more defensive was an issue for me.
Sure.
Uh, and when I created scrambles, like I didn't do a good job at it. And I didn't do what I didn't do what I'm good at. So it's you just got to look back and you just got to analyze. And like I said, it's not a bad thing if you grow from it. It's a good thing if you grow from it.
Sure.
It's a bad thing when you can't grow from it and when you're a sore loser about it. My mindset is different.
So
I come from nothing and I'm trying to do something with my life. So it's not a sore topic at all.
sure. So when you talk about growth, and do you do more film study? Do you get with like say like Greg Jones? He's a multi-time NCAA champion. Grab someone like him, or is it more of a training partner? Like you got so many. I mean, Kamaru Usman is a fantastic wrestler in your gym. Do you grab someone like that? Like what's the way? Or Gilbert Burns is another guy who's a great grappler.
Yeah.
Like, what's
Yeah, for sure. I grab guys that are good. Like we have a handful and like the very talented roster of guys. And I grab guys that can help me and that I can grow with. And like all my trainers are amazing. The Greg Jones is amazing and he helps me. And like for this camp, Leandro Ataides, he's going to be strong. He's going to be solid. His jiu-jitsu is going to be good. So I work with guys day in, day out, like, Phil Hawes, Ian Heinich, like Impa, guys that are built physically strong and have very strong, wrestling and things like that. So like, at least I get to do what I love, and there are like, I'm from Myanmar, I'm Burmese, I'm from Myanmar. And people in Myanmar, like during these times, is a hard time for them, and for me to be able to do what I love, I see it as a blessing. And that's why, I try to work hard and become a better version of myself. And I don't see it as a negative thing. Losing, that's part of life. You got to grow from it. You got to become a better version of yourself.
Yeah, and when you fight in your home country, you're like a rock star. You're like Elvis coming to town. Like you're the biggest thing going on in the whole country. Does people in America realize how big of a star you are in your home country?
I don't know. I don't really think about that. I don't really see myself like that. I just see myself as a regular guy like you, and me. It's just,
Yeah.
I don't see myself like that. So.
But I know you might not see yourself way, but you are a huge inspiration to all these kids in that country who, they don't have, in America, we have Michael Jordan and Tom Brady. We have all these stars. In your country, there's not many. You're it. You're the guy they're looking up to. Like, did you feel that? Do you get messages? Like, how do you – I mean, that's got to inspire you, right?
Yeah, it does. But, the whole situation that's happening in Myanmar right now, it almost like – put a lot of pressure on me, I don't know if you're aware of this, but in Myanmar there's like a political coup, and there's like the COVID is hitting real hard there right now, and so like it puts a lot of pressure on me, for sure. That's why I don't like to see myself as like the only star from them. Like I just try to be a good person, and whatever I post on social media is like positive,
yeah.
and to let people around me know that like living in America, I'm telling you, like people complain about the political situation and all these things in America, but billions, like I'm telling you, billions of people would trade places with you and me.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah,
and because
absolutely.
of that, we have to be thankful, and we have to be a good human being. You know.
Do you think when you came to America and now being in America for a long time, do you think you still keep that Asian mindset of being grateful for things, or is it, or I mean, obviously you are by the way you're saying, but on the flip side, do you ever feel yourself stop feeling that American, like almost entitlement that we in America kind of have?
Yeah, sometimes like it really depends on who you surround yourself with. You know, if you don't look at the big picture, if you just look at the daily stress, you know, of course you're going to be stressed out. You're going to be like mad, and you're going to be unhappy. You know, like little things like, you know, the mortgage is due tomorrow, or whatever it is. You know, like you're going to be stressed out about it. But you take a step back and you look at the big picture. Just simple things like electricity, simple things as being able to freedom of speech, you know, things like that, being able to have a job. Those are things that you should be thankful for, you know, and to live, um, and living, like being able to live a good life in America is like something that, um, I'm telling you, like billions of people will trade places for. You know, like
Absolutely.
my cousins in Myanmar, they live a very, very humble life, you know, and for us to be complaining about little things like that, it's not good, you know.
Is it difficult to go back home and seeing your family members and stuff still living like that?
Is it difficult? No, it's not. Like what's funny is like they're I feel like some of them are happier than a lot of the people in the States, you know, with how little they have.
Yeah.
They're still very happy, you know. But they don't get the same opportunity as us. And if anything, it motivates me. It
Sure.
motivates me to want to become a better, you know, become better and do more, you know.
Yeah. Does that, obviously we just talked about having two losses. Obviously, I think you'd agree with me. A big part of fighting is the mental aspect of the game. Do you think
Yeah,
where you came from going through this stuff, you know, you think that has made you stronger mentally as a fighter? Like you lost, but you can come back from
yeah,
this because you've dealt with worse.
yeah. I mean, it could, it's a double-edged sword, you know, because you come from such a low place and such a humble place. You think in your head like you can never compete with, you know, guys from here, you know, guys from, you know, the other countries, Brazil, Netherlands, stuff like that, you know.
Sure.
But you have to find that strength within you, and for me, like right now, my mindset is very strong right now. You know, I just want to put on a great show. I want to do the best that I can, and I know what I'm capable of. And so, like, I have to put myself in a mental space where I know what I'm capable of, and I know what I can do. And I've done it once. I've been the champion once, and I can do it again.
So let's talk about that. You said you want to put on the show. You're getting matched with Leandro Atadis. This is a fight that a lot of people are excited about because you're known for your striking. You're known for your power. He's known for his striking. He's known for his power. I mean, you got to be loving this matchup, right?
Yeah, I love it. You know, I'm gonna embrace this war. You know, I hope he brings it. And from the get go, we're gonna touch each other up. I hope, you know, I hope it's not a boring grappling match.
Yeah.
You know,
So
I hope it's an all out war, and I'm gonna embrace it. If it turns into a grappling match, it is what it is. But I'm gonna put that pressure on him.
So when you think about him, like you're looking forward to another slugfest like you had with Brandon Vera, or like I keep bringing up the Ken Hasagawa fight, the first one in Ken Hasagawa. That was one of the most insane fights I've ever seen in my life. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
you hit him with everything. Like that's the kind of fight you want instead of just a
yeah.
quick knockout.
No, I want war. I want to feel the pain. I want to feel the, you know, the thrills and the pleasure and all everything. You know, I want to feel it all. I want to feel the war.
Now,
So
you train in Florida. You go out to the time Singapore, excuse me. yeah, it's obviously this crazy long flight. How long does it take you to get back to on Singapore time and kind of feel adjusted?
It's hard, man. The time change is brutal, you know. And a lot of people don't know. Like you don't know until you don't know how important sleep is until you're like you're jet lagged before your fight. It's rough, man. So and we don't get much time. We don't get much time. We have 5 days to acclimate,
Yeah,
and then we're out in and out within 9 days.
yeah. So as soon as you get used to it, you're back in America. Like, so you train in Florida. I'm on the East Coast too. So when the fights go on, the card kicks off at 8:30 in the morning. Like that's really
Yeah.
strange. And you
Yeah.
obviously that's not when you're waking up. You've already been up for hours. So you're talking what 5 a.m. here, 6 a.m. here. Like
Yeah.
so you say you only have 5 days. About what time do you start feeling normal? Like day two, day three? Do you ever feel normal?
Last fight, I didn't feel normal, but fortunately, this fight it's been pretty good. You know, I've been able to sleep pretty good. So we'll see. You know,
Yeah.
we'll see. But the guys from the east side when they have fights in the UFC as well, they have issues too.
Yeah.
You know, so it's part of the game. It's part of
Yeah.
the game. So.
Yeah, like they get the opposite side. You got the Europeans
Yeah,
coming over to America.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get that too.
And even guys in the East Coast, you know, like even some of my teammates when they fight in Vegas, it's hard, man. Like
Oh yeah,
they
yeah,
get yeah.
yeah. I get that
But
'cause
luckily for them, the PI when they fight in the PI, like it's around daytime. It's not late at night. If it's late at night, it could be hard for them, you know.
yeah, yeah, I get it because like if you're Gilbert Burns, your teammate, you're in the main event of a
Yeah,
pay per view, and it's 1 a.m. I mean, I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know how late you guys train at Stanford, but I'm assuming there's not a lot of
No,
training sessions at 1
no,
a.m.
no,
So
not
it
at
is
all.
a different time than you're used to.
Yeah, well, you gotta
Um,
get used to it, you know.
One thing else I also want to ask you. So one championship has made a huge push, at the end of the American market. They now got the TNT contract. There's rumors of possible shows coming in the future. You know, uh, so obviously I'm assuming you one day would want to fight, obviously in America. But have you gotten more recognition from MMA fans now that one championship is kind of becoming more popular in America? Like, do you feel like you're getting recognized more than you did before?
Yeah. So in the Burmese community, like I get recognized, you know,
Sure.
pretty easily. But Florida is a very, I would say, like South Florida is a very MMA oriented state
Yeah.
or region, like South Florida. So yes, in South Florida, yes. Um, but the cool thing was one time I was in the middle of nowhere in Tennessee, and we were gonna go to like a barbecue place, right? And then we went to a barbecue place on like we looked it up on like Yelp and they had good reviews. So we
Yeah.
went to a barbecue place and it was closed. It was
Okay.
shut down. So we went to like another barbecue place. It's like a hole in the wall, and somebody recognized me. It was like this country person, and he recognized me, and that was kind of cool, you know.
Yeah, that's cool. That's definitely cool. And I think it just shows you, I hear people talking about one, obviously as a media member, I'm a hardcore fan. I've known one championship for a long time, but if you're the guy who watches one fight every 3 months, you
Yeah.
might not know about one championship. In America,
No.
no, in Asia, they all know about one championship. Let me ask you this
Yeah.
question, and I appreciate your time, and I'll let you go soon, but you have a
Yeah.
very different perspective probably on one championship because you grew up in Asia, so you really understand
Yeah.
Asian culture. You understand Asian fans, but you also live in America, so you kind of now you understand both. Do they ever like pick your brain and say, "Hey, like you got your foot in both worlds you want to be in," and kind of ask you like what they should be doing or how they should be marketing things, anything like that?
One championship hasn't, you know, come to me like that yet. But maybe after my career is over.
Yeah,
But I've been with the company since 2014. You know, so it's
yeah,
been when they were more of like a mom and pop, you know, kind of like a small company to this like big, you know, big company. I've seen it. I've seen what I'm trying to say is I've seen it grow.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
they're doing a very good job because fundamentally how they how they market it and how they like their company statement is very different from like UFC.
Sure.
You know, they want to show martial arts and they're more about uh, they're more about showing the good in it
The
instead
good,
of
yeah,
like
yeah.
instead of like promoting the fighting in it. So like instead of promoting anger, hate, and violence like the UFC and or other promotions do. One championship is more about martial arts, and it's the mission statement's a little bit more towards that.
Yeah.
And that rings with a lot of fans and a lot of demographic. Like imagine this um, like in the UFC, Conor is very big, right? Conor is very
Yeah.
big, but you sell through violence and hate, you know.
Yeah, trash talking.
But yeah, trash talk. But one championship is more about respect, and about the martial arts itself. So you can market it more towards young kids as well. Um, for me, like when I compete, um, kids watch it. In my country, like kids watch it. Young people watch it, and then even grandmothers watch it.
Yeah, yeah.
Even grandfathers watch it, and like even the older people watch it too. So it's a little bit different. It's a different product for sure.
Yeah. It's more respectful. I mean,
Yeah,
I
and
know.
it does. It has the one of the highest level. The kickboxers in it too. Muay Thai fighters too. So it's a different martial arts as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good reason why. A good example is why Demetrius Johnson was able to transition to one championship and why he fits that mold because he was never into
Yeah,
the trash talking. He's always called
no,
himself a martial artist, and
yeah,
that's also why Ben Askren was a trade kind of fit more in the UFC because he likes the trash talks, he likes to put buttons, and
yeah,
why it was like it made sense for them to trade each other.
yeah, for
Uh,
sure, for sure.
I've already kept you longer than I said I would. One last question. You said
Yeah.
one championship doesn't trash talk, but I got to put you on the line. I know you said you're expecting a war, but I mean, how does the war end, and how do you win?
I think I like in my heart. I believe I'm gonna get it done within 3 rounds, um, and it's gonna be a good finish. So you guys are in for a treat. I'm prepared for I'm prepared for a war. So uh, I hope you guys enjoy this, and it's gonna be a good finish.
I appreciate your time. You're obviously a class act. I wish you good luck in this fight, all future fights. Uh, guys, we got one more segment. He just gave his prediction for the fight. I'm about to give all my predictions. Now, obviously, listen to him more than me, but I'm going to give my predictions for all the fights. Stick around, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Keith.
Hold on one second. All right, guys, we are in the final segment of the show. This is when I actually make my predictions. Just want to remind everyone, I'm not making a prediction on the Muay Thai fight. I follow the sport, but I don't follow it strong enough to where I think I can give an educated opinion on it. So we're just going to cover the MMA fight. So let's get right into it. The first fight of the main card, Victoria Lee versus Lu Ping Wang. Now, Victoria Lee, as I mentioned in my 5 reasons to watch, 17-year-old phenom. She's the younger sister of Christian and Angela Lee. She won her debut when she was only 16 years old. Stylistically, she's a very aggressive fighter. She showed clean boxing, fast hands. She's throwing straight punches down the pipe, which I really like seeing. She stayed composed. She lacks power, which obviously you expect for someone who's 17 years old. She's still a girl. She's not even a woman. And she made a mistake of she stood very high, and then when she got attacked, she ducked her head a lot. So that's going to leave her open to an uppercut. But other than that, I really liked her stand up. I liked her clinch grappling when she got in close. She landed some knees in there. She's a Hawaiian state champion wrestler, so we can see some takedowns from her. She was taken down by a head and arm throw, but in her defense, she was able to pop right back up. When she was on her back, she showed some great flexibility. She got a slick back take, controlled from the back really well. That's how she finished the fight. Landed some good ground and pound. So I like her moving forward. Wang won her last fight. Limping Wang. She won her last fight, but I actually thought she should have. I actually thought she lost that fight. I scored it for the other girl. Her boxing is very raw. She's a little flat footed, throws wild shots. She does have power if she lands, but she throws too many single strikes. She drops her hands. She has okay takedowns herself, like she can get a takedown, but she has weak takedown defense. I saw her guard get past. I actually saw her mounted in that fight that I thought she lost. So as far as my prediction goes, I was really impressed by Lee. You know, her composure at only 16 years old, that, you know, the pressure of the moment didn't get to her. I thought she showed a lot of skills on the feet, showed some skills on the ground. I think she's going to have to avoid Wang's power, but that's the only area where I think she could have issues. I think she takes Wang down. I think she smashes her on the ground. Uh, Due to her lack of experience, I'm not going to take a first round submission, but I'm going to say that she takes her down, lands some ground and pound, finds a rear naked choke, and gets a second round submission. So give me Victoria Lee to move to 2-0 in a professional career, kicking off the One Championships main card. Next fight is a really fun stand-up battle. Ru Chen versus Jeremy Pakatu. Chen, he's a Chinese fighter, only 25 years old. Both these fighters are only 25 years old. So we get a battle of striking youngsters. Chen has incredible output. Really wants to get into the pocket, throw down in the pocket, throwing some heavy shots. He really steps into his shots, throws a lot of power hooks. Problem he lacks head movement and tends to back straight up. And in his last fight, he was dropped by a body shot. But that was probably because he had an incredible chin. He was hit with so many big shots in his last fight and didn't stop. And though he took some damage in his last fight, though he took some damage in his last fight but didn't get dropped, I am a little worried about him moving forward because, you know, the amount of damage he took. He also needs to improve his takedown defense. He was taken down by Quan Wan Il, who was the guy he fought his last fight, was actually mounted in that fight too, which I didn't like. Pakatu, 25 years old, from the Philippines. Like, he's insanely aggressive. Fast hands, has a wide variety in his attacks. I love that he digs to the body. I love his ability to strike while backing up if you chase him. He's got good footwork. He can land while backing up, which is such a rare quality for any fighter, especially a 25-year-old. He's still developing his power, and I think that's going to come. You know, most fighters don't really reach their striking power peak to probably about 28, 29, maybe 30 years old. I love that he chops the legs. Defensively, he lacks head movement a little bit, and he kind of walks through shots, so he eats some shots that he probably shouldn't. But I like that he's not just a striker. He'll sneak in a takedown. Very aggressive ground and pound. He is a little sloppy. He needs to clean up his grappling exchange. He'll lose position, chasing a submission that isn't there. And he has weak takedown defense. He was taken down in his last fight. This is going to be a slugfest. However, I'm going to go with Pakatu. I think he's faster. I think he has more weapons. And I think he might even take Chen out, which is a pretty bold prediction considering Chen's last fight. You know, he wasn't knocked out. I think that might happen. Oh, he was knocked out with a body shot, but he wasn't. It wasn't his, you know, clean shot to the face or something like that. I think Pakatu can do that. I think he's getting a first round knockout. So give me Pakatu by first round knockout. Move on to Ratu Fogat versus Haequin Lin. This is a fantastic female battle. Fogat is an Indian fighter, 27 years old. She comes out of the famous Fogat family, this very famous family in India that they have a TV show. It was a TV show. It was a movie. They made a movie about this family. They were they're megastars in India. She lost her last fight, to Bi Nguyen, and I thought she won that fight. What she showed, she's a very aggressive fighter. She loves to really wing her right hand. She makes a mistake of dropping her head, though, similar to what I talked about Victoria Lee. But she's a great wrestler, good entries. She can overreach at times and not set up her takedowns, which I don't like. But if she gets on top, strong top control, really good ground and pound. Though in her last fight, and this is probably why she lost to Bi Nguyen, she gassed out in the third round and actually lost the third round. I didn't think it was enough to, mind you, remember what I said earlier, one championship scores the entirety of the fight, not just round by round like UFC and Bellator does. So I think that's what the judges gave it. They thought Nguyen did enough in the third. I didn't. Move over to Hequin Lin. She's only 27 years old. Prior to entering one championship, she kind of beat up on some low level competition. I mean, you look at the records of some of the fighters she fought, not that impressive. Though one of her losses did come to Mallory Mountain, who obviously is in the UFC. Uh, Lynn, I really like her striking though. She's long and lengthy. She's light on the feet. She throws lots of kicks. She likes side kicks. Holly Holm type sidekick to kind of create her space where she can use her length. But if you crash the pocket down there, she's got some good clinch striking. She's good at framing and throwing knees in the space that she makes. When I say framing, I mean when you're in battle and close, you actually use your arm, your forearm, and you kind of create space, pressing the head away to land some shots. Uh, she likes body lock takedowns if you want to grapple with her. And in her last fight, she got a triangle off her back, which really showed how flexible she was. However, in her two losses, they both came from being out grappled. So as a prediction, if this stays on the feet, I like Lynn. However, Fokat has a really strong wrestling base. Should have the advantage of the wrestling. She's gonna have to land. I think she'll land some takedowns, and she's gonna have to battle off some submission attempts from Lynn. And obviously, the deeper it goes in the fight, the more I start favoring Lynn because we've seen Fogat gas. But I didn't think she lost the last fight. I don't think she's gonna lose this fight. I think she wrestles away to a unanimous decision. Speaking of wrestling, we got a wrestling affair, and the next fight, Rutu Sawada versus Gustavo Bullard. That's the I shouldn't say the co-main event. It's the MMA fights. It's the co-main event. It's not officially the co-main event as we have a Muay Thai title fight in the main event, but. Sawada is 25 years old, Japanese fighter. He's a karate black belt. Very fast starter. He's got 7 first-round submissions. He has good power on the feet. Tends to make some mistakes defensively, back straight up. But his wrestling is really good. Light and fast entries. Chains submission attacks together. Chains takedowns together. Big slams. He'll get on your hips, lift you up. Great back takes, has 7 submission wins. Will lose position trying to get a submission, and he did slow down in his last fight, which I didn't like. Move on to his opponent. Move over to his opponent, Gustavo Bullard. This is a Cuban fighter. He's just a little tank. He's extremely short. You look at his measurements. They say he's only 4'11". He's a southpaw on the feet. He's a very aggressive, fast hands, throws everything hard, loads up on everything, which I don't like, and can get very, very wild. But he's surely is entertainment. He loves to get into the pocket by throwing like a Superman punch from the outside to get himself inside. Inside, he looks for elbows in close. Really good clinch striking, and then his wrestling is off the charts. This is a 3-time Pan American champion in Greco-Roman wrestling. This dude wrestled in the Olympics. Great entries, like gets on your hips, picks you up, insanely powerful, picks you up, slams you. If not, I mean, he's Greco-Roman. The Greco-Roman, it's all about the upper body takedowns. Get in the clinch, body lock, trips, whatever. Take you down. If you get back up, he'll suplex you. He was knocked out in his last fight as he got a little too aggressive and ate a high kick. But I still like him move forward. This is such a beautiful matchup. Bolat is going to have to avoid the submission of Sawada. However, he is the more decorated wrestler. And Sawada's a guy who wants to get to fight the ground, and I just can't, just based on credentials, I can't see him taking down Bollard. So I'm going to take Bollard, wins a decision, but I think we'd have some really, really fun grappling exchanges. Move on to the main event fight. I'm really looking forward to the guy we just interviewed. Aung La N Sang takes on Leandro Atadis. I'll start with N Sang. As I mentioned in the interview, former 2-time world champion holding titles at the same exact time. He did lose his last 2 fights back-to-back to Reindeer de Reda. However, as he's saying he's not feeling the pressure, I do think his back is against the wall. He's also 36 years old, but he trains out one of the very best teams in the world, Sanford MMA. On the feet, he's very aggressive striker. I love that he switches stances when he attacks. I mean that like he could be in the orthodox stance. When he comes in, he'll switch to give himself a different angle. That's something we saw TJ Dillashaw doing a lot this past weekend. something Max Holloway does, Israel Adesanya. There's a lot of great strikers do it, and that's a good sign for him. His straight right is very accurate. I love his step back counters. While he's aggressive and he likes to pressure, if you attack on him, he's really good at step back or fading back and landing shots. He's got really big power, and he throws a lot of power shots too. He can overextend in time and leave him open into big shots, and he'll throw the occasional spinning attacks, which obviously is exciting but tends to zap your energy. But if he connects on you, as many people in one championship I've seen in the past, Brandon Vera is a good example. He'll put you out. I love that he attacks the legs. He takes out your power. A lot of calf kicks. Wrestling is an issue. I mean, he didn't say it in so many words in an interview, but that the fact that Dorada is a bad style of smash him, it's because he got taken down. Weak takedown defense, weak get up game. Dorada submitted him in the very first fight in the first round. In the second fight, at one point, he had him mounted. So you don't like that. He has a great chin. He's been in so many wars, and he just never stops attacking, never seems to be hurt. And I like that he has gone 25 minutes. You like that, even though this is only a 15-minute affair, you like a guy that, can show that he has a deep gas tank. Move to Tatis, 35 years old, Muay Thai specialist. He's actually training with Dorada for this fight, which makes me wonder if he's going to want to grapple. On the feet, he fights out of both stances. You see a lot of stance switching. He's very explosive. He hits hard. He's got good output, but he can get wild. He forgets about defense. Kind of just moves forward, eats a lot of shots. A big issue. It's a big issue considering he drops his hand. Like to move forward and carry your hands low is not a good thing. Especially if you're going against a guy like N Sang who can put you out. He also telegraphs a lot of his strikes by loading up on everything. But he's so explosive that it's fun. He tries some wild things too. He loves flying knees. He'll just kind of back you up and throw that in there. He will look for a takedown himself. And he showed really good takedown defense against Dorada. And he also showed solid scramble ability. When Dorada took him down, he was able to scramble back to his feet. Dorada never really had him in trouble on the ground. One issue I have, while he's very aggressive, he can't keep them be a battle that aggressive for the entire 50 minutes fight. We saw he probably lost to Dorada because he started fading late. So this fight is going. I like both guys. I really do. I think both guys land big, heavy shots. However, N Sang's aggression and pace, I think, is just be simply too much for Tatis. Tatis is aggressive, but not to the extent N Sang is. I think N Sang's going to force Tatis on his back foot a lot. I think as Tatis starts to slow down, N Sang's going to put him out. I'm going to say N Sang gets it done in the third round. I think he peppers him up for the first two rounds and then finally puts him out in the last round. So give me N Sang by third round TKO. So there you guys have it. There's all my picks for the MMA fights on One Championship. Make sure you check it out. If you're in America, you get over to Bleacher Report, the Bleacher Report app, Bleacher Report YouTube, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you check that out. And this kicks off a wild weekend. We have LFA, we got Bellator, UFC battle at the same time. So it's a fantastic weekend of fights, and One Championship kicks it off. Guys, I appreciate you listening. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Keith Shillan MMA. My last name is spelled Shillan. So that's at Keith Shillan MMA. And I hope you enjoy the fights.